Now I spit a 16 straight with no punch. Remember?
Hey everyone, how are you? This is Norm Schriever. Hope everyone's doing well. Today I have one of the coolest people in mortgage on the podcast, Julie Yarbrough with Empire Home Loans. Julie is just awesome, and talking to her for a while, you could see why she's so damn successful and loves to swear a lot, and I love that about her. So without further ado, here's Julie Yarbrough. Thanks, guys. All right. Well, today I have an awesome guest, someone who's really, really cool, an icon in the mortgage business, Julie Yarbrough. Julie, how are you today?
I'm wonderful. How you doing, Norm?
Good, good. I'm out here on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast, but somehow we managed to connect, huh?
Thank God. Thank God for technology and new ways to learn technology through this whole pandemic, right?
Yeah, even though we were like scrambling to figure out Zoom and get it right, I think we got it now.
By the way, I may still scramble to figure out Zoom, but it's okay. I have other assets.
We're all going to be experts pretty soon, I think, you know?
It's true. It's pretty phenomenal what I've even seen. Just as a sidebar, I had my other half did a Tony Robbins unleashed the power for 4 days, and he was able to get 30,000 people on a Zoom, right? So that's
tiny little thumbnails to put 30,000 on one screen, huh?
Yeah, but broke them out into different rooms. So I think there's more, just more ingenuity to be seen. Like it's going to be a birthplace for, I think, a lot of Zoom experiences. Let's say that, you know, who knows if conferences will be a thing of the future.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, you know, I wouldn't expect or I wouldn't be surprised with any of the changes we're seeing in 2020. Everything is different. Everything is new. Everything is really on, you know, upside down. There might even be like virtual little holograms at a conference table.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as they don't take away concerts, music concerts, I'm going to survive this. But if that goes away.
You know, you should check this out. A good buddy of mine, high school buddy, and he's like one of my best friends, named Stephen White. He's the CEO of this company called stageit.com in San Francisco. And they're basically creating the whole backstage experience of a concert, but online. So it's it's real and very well established. Like some of the biggest music stars in the world are using it now to give concerts, because it has to be online, but they don't want to just show it like it's TV. So
it's hurting my heart. There's a piece of my heart that's hurting over that, Norm. I'm not going to lie, because that might be one of the places I feel most alive with, I don't know, 20,000 of my best friends rocking and rolling.
What kind of music are you down with? I figure you like a gangster rap girl.
Oh yeah, can you tell? Can you tell? No, it might be. I might be a little bit of a rock and roller. I'm an 80s, you know. 88 is great. That's when I graduated. So, you know, a little bit of big hair rock. I can do some, you wanted to came through COVID, country music came through COVID. I worked on my backyard and learned how to like country.
Everyone likes country these days. It seems like that's sort of, it's becoming more universal.
Yeah, so I like it all. I like it all, honestly. I can go from classical to, you know, a little Post Malone, a little Eminem, you know, I can do it all, actually.
What about with the crazy hard rock? What are some of your favorite 80s bands?
Well, come on. I did have my business partner, Leah Whitten, and I, we might be concert buddies. So I think we had probably 6 concerts lined up. So a little Sammy Hagar, right, in the round. Okay. Yeah, we had, I think we had Motley Crue, a little Joan Jett, a little Journey. We went a little classic rock, I think, and a little Foreigner was thrown in there. ZZ Top. I mean, come on, right?
Can't go wrong with those. You know what's funny? Have you seen these days, there's an insurance company that has that rat commercial, like RATT, the band, and it's like, we have a rat problem in the house.
Oh, but hey, Rat was on my list too.
That was my first ever real concert, was Rat.
Was it?
And Quiet Riot. And I'm like the least like rocker person ever. I don't know what the hell I was doing there, but yeah.
Right, or maybe a little Y&T, right? That's one of Leo Whitten's favorite, a little Y&T action. And that's before my time. I'm younger.
Yeah, of course. You know, you're like 29-ish.
I am still. In fact, I've decided this year, my 50th birthday, I'm going to roll through and be 49 again. Why not? I can't, you know, I was going to do a big.
What up, brother? How are you? Hey, let him know he's next on the podcast.
Yeah, he's gonna avoid you profusely, but he. Yes, yes, it's recorded. He knows how to keep boundaries.
Yeah. Well, cool. Now that we covered the important stuff with
It's
hard
true.
knocks,
It's true. Let's roll.
yeah, we got that out of the way. So why don't we talk about fun things like mortgage and your career and what you're doing that's so special. So if you want, just give a little background of where you're from, who you are, how you got into mortgage, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Number one, thanks for having me. And I adore working with you. I think you're a wonderful guy, by the way. So I'm going to say I'm a lucky, lucky, lucky gal. I'm the daughter of two professionals. My dad actually worked for Experian. Previous to Experian, it was TRW, and he was the chief of security nationwide for about 14 years. And so I grew up with somebody who understood credit, and I kind of it bred into me at a very young age, credit. And my mom was a commercial banker, and so they both had great work ethic. And so I kind of came from two professionals in and around the business. And I moved out at 17. I decided I wanted to be on my own. And in those days, it was just a normal thing. I think it's changed a little bit generationally now. And I got a job at a bank, and I went to work at Home Savings of America. And it was because I could answer every little thing in the ad. And I think it was probably, I don't know, $5 an hour back then. I don't even know.
Right. Now, are you from Sacramento or the Bay Area?
So that's a great question. My parents were both born and raised here in Sacramento. I was not. My dad was in the Marine Corps, and so I was born on Camp Pendleton in San Diego, and we popped around quite a bit. My dad was in CID and then went into Secret Service for a while, and then moved into that chief of security position for a long, long time. So I grew up in Southern California, and crazy enough, moved here at 17 and moved into San Jose and moved my way up the peninsula, all the way up. And then unfortunately, my dad got sick later in life, and I moved here to Sacramento to kind of host his exit with grace. So that's why I ended up here in Sac. Yeah. But I started at a bank, and it was a very conservative bank. I don't even know how they hired me. It was lovely that they did. But I remember they're like, you're going to need to wear a jacket to cover your rear end every single day when you come to work. And I thought, well, I don't think you pay me enough for that. So I, was early on, I started negotiating, which was good. Yeah. And I was a loan processor. I didn't know what I was, honestly, but that's what I was. And hindsight tells you what you were. I was ordering a bunch of payoffs and things. And then I got recruited into title and escrow. My escrow rep kept coming in, or my title rep kept coming in, and she lured me over to title and escrow, which was honestly one of the best things that happened to me. I still didn't know what the heck I was doing. And it was a big refi boom. I think the rates were down to about 14%. And it's about
was that like early 90s or something?
Like probably 90, I'm thinking 90-ish is where this is, 90, 91-ish.
Huh?
I couldn't even drink. I couldn't have a cocktail yet, but I could, order. I think I was ordering about 70 payoffs a month. And I remember a woman by the name of Charlene Benson, who I'll never forget. I don't even know if she's still alive, but she was an older woman way back then. And I kept saying, what am I doing? I don't understand why I'm doing this, because I needed to know the why even then. And she said, Julie, it's like a chain, and you're going to keep putting all these links on the chain. And one day that chain link is going to come full circle, and you're going to get it, right? You're going to get it. Because this is a very deep business with lots of different aspects. And, years later, I will never forget her telling me that, but I finally got it. And I spent about 6 years in escrow, and I ended up becoming an escrow officer. I ran a refi desk. And I will be as transparent as you know me to be. I absolutely hated it. God bless our escrow people, because they work so hard, and they're the cat that kind of gets kicked at the end of a transaction, right?
But it's important that first off, it's important for people to realize or understand what they don't want to do the rest of their lives. I think that's pretty important too. But
ding, ding.
Seeing the mortgage business from that side of the desk or the table or whatever probably gives you a lot of insight that a lot of loan officers don't have now.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, I still didn't know what I was doing. Even though I grew in and I understood how to draw docs and I understood the mechanics, I don't think I got the story of a transaction, right? Because I was still very young. I was still 25, 26-ish when I decided, I don't think this is for me, right? And I think there's an emotional intelligence that comes with with maturity, right? I never wanted to admit that, because even in my 20s, I was like, I want everything now.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? There's just kind of a layering effect that goes on to maturing, whether you're in your professional life or your personal life. So over time, I kind of figured out, yep, this is not what I want. And I kept cutting checks. I kept cutting all these checks. I thought, who am I cutting these checks to? That seems like a fun job. Kind of how it happened. And
that happens more than you know. People are privy to someone's pay and they're like, whoa, wait a second.
What do they do for a living? I might want to do that. And I saw these gals that would come in when I was at Home Savings of America, and they dressed the part, they had cute cars, and I kept going, what do you do every day? And they're like, oh, we visit real estate offices. I thought, oh, that seems fun. So I kind of had filed these things through the years, right? And I like to have fun, and I wanted something that was fun. And so I somehow got it in my head that being in loans was going to be super, super fun. And I unfortunately quit my job before I knew what my next step was. I just decided I was complete with my escrow life.
Yeah.
And I somehow got myself an interview for a wholesale rep position when do you remember when subprime, nobody knew what that meant?
Yeah.
What is subprime? I don't think I knew what it meant, but I ended up getting an interview, and somebody took a shot on me. Miss Susan Schwartz, to this day, I thank her very much. She took a shot on me, and she ended up hiring me as a wholesale rep. Didn't know what the heck I was doing. And you want to know who gave me my...
The good news is no one knew what they were doing in subprime.
I mean, here's the great news. Have courage, right? Because you get to be brave and scared all at the same time, but the courage is stepping into it. Yeah. It's taking action, and I'm grateful that I just kind of had that gumption about me to kind of leap. I'm still kind of that gal. You just kind of leap, and you trust that you're going to figure it out.
Yeah. Well,
figure it out.
Put yourself in position where, as they say, you burn your boats once you get ashore. You put yourself in that position where you have to figure it out. And that really scares a lot of people, but for people like us, it's probably the only way to do it, right? It's like all in. It's a
little entrepreneurial, right? It's just, you either are kind of wired to be told what to do, right? Here's your position. Here's what we want you to do. And I'm not built like that. I'm not I'm not a great assistant.
Yeah.
Never really a good support person. So I kind of had to figure out, how to survive on my own wits, which it's a little bandwidth there. So that's what
what year was that when you started in subprime, just for context?
Say that again.
Around what year was that?
I'm thinking this is roughly about 96-ish, 96.
Okay.
So I'm about 26, 96. And it was just so brand new that I remember having to educate people on what is subprime. Well, subprime is when you fall out of, A paper, and maybe somebody's got some creative income, or maybe they had a life event happen and their credit scores were a little lower. How do we get, these loans that fall out here, right, into a home, right? And the first gentleman, if you're from Sacramento area, the first gentleman who gave me a shot was Kurt Reisig. And he owned Big Valley Mortgage. There were 6 people in his office. Yeah. And all I was told to do was to rip the yellow pages out of the phone book. This was back when there were phone booths, right? And I drove around with a map in my car. Wasn't very good at that. I just wanted that was another thing that struggled.
Was it the Thompson map?
Yes, the Thomas guide.
Yeah, Thomas, that's it, where you had the coordinates and you had to go to...
Oh gosh, and I had a stick shift, so let's go on there. So I was, I'm trying with the stick shift. Thank God the cell phones were still a little bit rough then. We weren't really into the cell phone zone, because that would have been an accident waiting to happen. But Kurt Reisig was so great to me, because he shifted my career completely, because I walked into his office and he said, Julie, thank you for coming in today. Hey, can you do an 80-10-10 with a seller carryback and a boobly 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 blah? He just spit out all this aesthetic language, right? And I went, here's my criteria card. And he goes, no, that's your criteria card. You learn that. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to come back in 2 weeks and give a presentation for my 6 loan officers that I have. Right? He had 6 guys.
Yeah.
He's hunting around, walking around with his big headset on. And I said, okay. Well, and I didn't know how to give a presentation. So I had to figure that out. And guess who we hired for that? Oh, Buzz Howard. I don't know if you know Buzz, but Buzz now works for Kurt Reisig, who owns APM, right?
Okay.
So it's a small little world here, and anybody in mortgage is going to recognize those names. And, you know, Buzz taught me how to give my very first presentation at 26 years old. And it was life-changing for me because I thought, I can do this. I can walk in, I can make friends, I can have integrity, be my word, and make relationships happen, right? Because without integrity, those relationships aren't really there, right? Yeah. So that I learned that really young, and it served me. And I learned that I fell in love with the mortgage business. And I think that's about when I went, oh gosh, and everything started being very much in flow. Because I think when you're working in your passion,
the chain came all the way around, right?
Yes. It's interesting. And people notice, I want you to notice that whoever's listening to this is when you're swimming upstream, you should feel it. Like if you're doing something that's so over and over, it's hard. It can be hard and you're still passionate about it and you love it. But when you don't love it and it's really, really hard, it might mean, oh, this might not be the right career, right? Or the right industry or the right role in that industry. So I've always listened to that intuition within me, and it's served me well. And you know, there's other parts of it that haven't served me well, but it's because I've been in the wrong role, so to speak. So
and nothing's perfect, every time people have a job, it's not always what we want. It's not always a passion. There's pros and cons. There's things we don't like to do. But overall, are you still happy? Do you get excited to go to work? Are you able to produce or create or interact with cool people? And number two, do you get paid? Because let's be honest, like there's a lot of jobs I would do for very good money that I wouldn't be happy doing, for less money just because it was my passion,
It's real.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's why I started this talk out with, I'm so fortunate because I fell in love with my industry and career at such a young age. I mean, that was, that's when my love started. And I just, I excelled pretty young in terms of wholesale, and I ended up crossing over to retail. And the difference obviously is a wholesale agent is actually calling on loan officers and trying to have you sell your business to them, and retail is going to the public and going to the consumers, right? And so I ended up crossing over to retail in '99. That's when I first started, and I was selling. I remember the day that rates got down to 9.99 on a second. Yeah. Right. Oh, we were excited.
Oh, 10%.
I know, right? We did first and second combos. The first was we could do it at like $14.99, and the second was at $9.99. And I was like, we are under 10%. This is exciting.
Sign this, right? Now,
right?
Tell me
the deal of the century.
With the mortgage business, when you fell in love with it, when you knew you were in the right place, what was it that you loved? Was it the relationships? Was it the numbers? Was it the sales?
You know what? I think I'm going to thank my dad. One of the things my dad gave me was, you don't lie, you don't steal, you don't cheat. So there's the simple things, right? And I think in terms of building rapport and relationships with people, I had the wherewithal to say I don't know when I didn't know. And so when sales called to me, because I like people. I love people. Like, I think my job is just to connect and to serve. And that's how I show up in life. Okay. If I just walk into a networking, arena, you're going to see me connect and serve. Right. And so I think that's what called to me, was that I got to call on people, human beings. I got to be with that energy all day long. And as long as I was always honest and I didn't bullshit them, and I'm being real, because loan officers, if there's one thing I can say, please stop hiding anything that goes wrong in a transaction. Be transparent, be proactive, and be your word. And so I think I learned that early, is be your word. And it's okay if bad things happen. It's going to happen. We're in mortgage, right? And so there's a lot of mountains with mortgage. And so I think that's what called to me, was I could use my own wits. I could solve problems, right? Because mortgage is very much about, this is what happened, and here's how I can fit it into a guideline, right? And
it's cube, right? And it's
all. For those of you who are not looking at me, I'm doing a Rubik's Cube move, right? And life happens to people. That's the other thing. If you haven't experienced a death, a divorce, a bankruptcy, a foreclosure, or post 2007, right? Life happens. And so you need people that compassionately get that understand, and how do we put you on the right path to using your home as a wealth builder like that. So I know I kind of went a little too far with that, but
No,
that's
it's fantastic. And so many people miss that part of it, and it's cliche now because we say it so much, but that authenticity and just keeping it real, not trying to pretend like everything's perfect, not trying to pretend like there's no problems in a transaction, or, we've all seen someone say, oh no, it's all good, when in the back it's falling apart. And
that's the biggest downfall in our industry. I'm going to tell you, that's what gives loan officers, that car salesman.
Yeah.
I'm trying to fight against that truly, because we are handling the largest financial transaction in most people's lives, right? Like, unless they're, I don't know, going to go buy a huge yacht, which is $2 million on the water, on land, we're really handling the biggest financial endeavor that they're gonna run into. Typically.
I like that slogan: the biggest financial purchase you'll ever make on land.
Yeah, on land, just on land. They might, if you had a
Not
house,
an airplane, an island, or
yes, there you go.
Boat, right?
The sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. So, I think that we could do a better job in our industry of just being more transparent. We don't have to lie to kick it. We just don't have to. That's what creates great rapport and relationships between lenders and realtors, and between lenders and consumers, because they don't understand. It's gotten so complicated, Norm. I got to tell you, I started working with first-time home buyers again, and I haven't done that in a very long time. And it's humbling. It's humbling for me to watch them go through the process now, because we've added so many layers of complexity.
It's like 99% education and hand-holding. And that's not a bad thing, because the payoff is huge, not financially, but when you see someone
in
their home, and you get invited to their first housewarming party, and then they call you back, 3-5 years later, like, should I refinance? I want to buy it. I mean, you really are like a landmark in their life when you could help a first-time buyer.
It's the most beautiful gift I've ever been given, honestly. And then you watch them have babies, and then now, because I'm aging out, like, their babies are buying houses, and that's what got me back into going, oh, I should probably look at helping first-time homebuyers again. It's just been a long time, and I kind of am not that, I hadn't been that detailed to want to really grind down on that. I like to stay in where my assets suit me. I got into jumbo and luxury for a very long time, but honestly, it's more rewarding. It just is, I'm shifting and changing in my maturity in my life, and it's just a beautiful gift. It's a beautiful gift to help people.
Give back, yeah. What feels good, and now you're giving back that gift. Like you said, you're serving. You're always connecting. I know who you are, but like you said, now it's millennials. And
oh yeah,
that's a complex Rubik's Cube. That's like a Rubik's Cube with an extra side, and that extra side is student loans, right?
Well, sure. I mean, that's a big deal. And how to, honestly, how to steward them through the process, because so many people still have it in their head. I need 20% down. I need so much money down. Well, you don't. And there's great products out there that can help you. And honestly, to really educate them on the wealth building that can happen with a home versus renting is it's our job, I think, as mortgage loan originators to educate, to really educate. You hit the nail on the head earlier. It's a big deal.
And it's more important than ever in our financial climate, because people, can't rely on Social Security when they retire, or
right.
They don't get a huge pension. Maybe those may be all bankrupt soon. People don't amass huge amounts of cash savings. And so maybe they have some 401k and money in the stock market, but they really need to manage their home purchases, their loans, and their equity correctly.
Well, and you hit the nail on the head with that. And look at what just happened with COVID. I mean, look, I haven't looked at my 401k statement, because I kind of like to live in oblivion once in a while, because I don't want to get all, because it's long-term money, right? It's long-term money, and we'll see how it's going to impact the housing market. But my crystal ball states that the housing market is going to stay pretty stable, because we don't have enough housing for the amount of humans that we have. Right. So that's a great example, because our 401ks hit the skids, in March. Like, let's just talk about it. Right. And I will be honest with you, and I'm speaking about Sacramento in terms of a region, because that's where I'm from, but our housing market has inclined, right? We've gotten a little bit more equity because there's just not enough inventory. There's not enough people selling homes, right, for people to buy. So we're still writing like 8 and 9 offers on homes. Woo woo.
It's crazy. I think it's even gotten more competitive since COVID.
It's true. I'm pretty shocked at how busy the purchase market is right now.
Yeah.
There's lots of folks refining, but there are still just a lot of people purchasing, and rates are low, which gives you a little bit more bandwidth in terms of buying power, right?
Right now, I think SAR's June numbers came out, and I think there's something like an average of 1 month's inventory.
It's the lowest I've seen it.
1.7 or something, which even that was considered an inventory crunch. Yeah, so 1 month, I've never seen that.
Yeah. So, and that goes right back to, is owning a home a great investment? And I was reading in an article the other day, just 2 days ago, about why renting is so important and maybe you shouldn't buy a house. And I literally wrote to the editor of that magazine because it's bullshit. That's what I'm going to say. I'm just going to be myself and say it's bullshit. So, and that's my opinion. But if I look at all the statistics and look at the numbers, Barry Habib does an amazing job as a statistician of giving us all of those numbers. And I'm a true follower and believer of him. If you don't know who he is, MBS Highway is his company. And he's phenomenal. And he really goes through the numbers don't lie. Sometimes we get a little emotional about things, right? But the facts don't lie. And the numbers are evident that there's just not enough housing for the amount of adult human beings that we have. And even with baby boomers, let's say they're moving out and moving up, even counting those folks moving up and moving out, we don't have enough inventory for the upcoming generation who are hitting right about 27 to 31 right now, right in that market, which are the young, I would say younger millennials. Is it Gen X? What's after them? Is it Gen X? I'm going to be honest with you.
We anyways, it used to be, we're Gen X, right? No, are we?
I don't know. Maybe they're Gen Ys. I feel bad that I don't know the term. Sorry.
Then there's Y, and then there's something even, I think there's Z, or I don't know if they're going to go back to A, or if they're
I don't
know what the hell they're going to do.
Good Lord, I'm glad I don't know what that is. But that age range, right? They're going to start settling down soon, and they're going to need housing. So, hopefully there's lots of land for lots of new builds. That's the goal, right? Or we start turning some of this, here's another idea, this commercial, everybody's learned how to work remotely. So we might have a little commercial dive. Maybe we turn that into multi-use, right? Maybe we have some residences along with some commercial use.
It's fascinating because, like, of course, with COVID and the pandemic and everything, all the trends are changing. Like you said, commercial is going to take such a massive hit that it may never look the same in this country. So yeah, I mean, I anticipate shopping malls 2-3 years are going to have your DMV in there. It's going to have a church in there.
Very interesting.
They'll have a hotel in there. They'll have, a veterinarian in there. I mean, but yeah, that's a great idea to some commercial spaces and turn them into everyone likes a loft looking brick,
right?
Industrial anyways. Yeah.
Yes, we're going to have to get creative. That's for sure. There's going to be a lot of land available, I think, with commercial. So.
And the other trend, of course, is now we're already very quickly seeing people looking at suburbs or even rural property. Like, hell, if I could work from home, I don't need to be in New York City. I don't need to be in the Bay Area. I could buy something with a little bit more land and still make the same money. So that's sort of democratization of income. If you could live in, Kansas.
I was going to say the Philippines. I might have
Yeah. And
I mean,
make US dollars, that's arbitrage. I mean, really, that's a huge advantage. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and you're right. I did post something about Barbados recently. I think they're inviting us to work and live for a year. I thought,
Yeah, exactly. That sounds tempting.
Hey, I did want to mention one thing while we're on this. There is a new report that came out today from the CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And I can send you a link for this. But with COVID, the CFPB kind of combined themselves with all 3 credit repository agencies to give a free weekly update on your credit report while you're going through COVID, right? So it's not a Credit Karma, which is a separate company, by the way, that makes a bunch of money, okay? It is truly from all 3 credit subsidiaries. And I will send you the link for that. It's called annualcreditreport.com, but you can actually monitor it for free now weekly.
Oh, wow. Cool. Just
Yeah,
because they know people are going to have trouble paying bills and yeah, interesting.
yeah, we're not, it'll be interesting to see how long this goes. And yeah.
Yeah. So your pops was, of course, working for, you said TransUnion, right?
Yeah, no, TRW, which is now Experian.
Which is now Experian. So he had like an 850 score. I don't know if in those days that was.
So he was part of the pilot team that came up with the scoring model, crazy enough. Now, he wasn't the person who invented the FICO, but he went around the country and he was a public speaker and he interviewed like the heads of BBVA, Wells Fargo, all the big banks. And he said, tell me how you would like to see credit reported. How would you like to extend credit? And that's how we came up with 42 ways to report negative credit, 2 ways to report positive credit. It's a little off balance, right?
On time and in full, or 42 ways that you screwed it up, right?
That's right. There's 42 ways that you can screw up your credit and 2 ways to make it better, right? Paid as agreed and paid in full. You had it. Yeah.
Did you ever ask him like, why 350 to 850 or whatever it is? Like, that's so arbitrary. Why not 0 to 500?
Right. You know what? That came through FICO. There was a gentleman in San Rafael who created the FICO scoring model. And I never did ask that question. I think more importantly, I wanted to know why there were so many credit reports than there were human beings.
Yeah.
And that probably, I don't know. Now we're probably at about 48% of credit reports, you can find something erroneous on everybody's credit and how hard it is to fight to get it off. And when you get your, identity stolen, how hard it is to get your credit and your worthiness back. Like
if it is and how,
And he ended up like starting a nonprofit for people like that got kind of caught up in that cycle. I mean, this is years, he's been passed for 19 years, but this has been an issue and going on for a long, long time. So.
And have you ever used, on a side, have you ever used Blue Water Credit?
I mean, I know Jeff Sipes very well from prior to Blue Water Credit. I personally have not, but I have sent clients through them, yes.
They're wonderful, really good
They're
people.
Wonderful, great. And by the way, the owner is a man of character. He's just a good human being.
And his wife, they're
yes,
in that one, Natalie. So they're actually.
Sorry, Natalie.
Sorry, Natalie. We know she's the real owner. She runs the.
Hey, listen, we know that us women are the necks that turn the head. We know.
But it's funny, like when I was in real estate and mortgage, like everyone and their mother, literally, in 2003 to 2011, when I left Sacramento, I used to send a bunch of clients and referrals to Blue Water Credit. And then when I went abroad and moved overseas, I was still in touch and I was doing some of my own marketing and for books. And then they go, that's cool what you're doing with this blog thing and with this social media thing. Like, can you do some of that for us? So they're actually my first ever client, 2012.
Well, I didn't know that. And by the way, they have quite a great success story. And I'm glad to know that you're behind that.
Yeah.
Honestly.
2012, they were my first client. I don't know why they haven't fired me yet, but don't tell them.
Oh, come on, Norm, stop it. We love you. You're amazing.
Commercial. That's their unpaid commercial right there for Blue Water. Huh?
Hey, woo, we love some Blue Water. They're good guys. They're just good guys. So be careful, whoever's listening to this, who you hire, should you get into a pickle on your credit. They're the guys. Yeah.
So let me ask you too, you went from wholesale to retail.
I did.
Backtracking to late 90s, right? How did you find that? I know we talked about a ton more education, but did you like it better? I
loved it. I actually loved it. And I loved it so much that I clawed and scratched and scraped my way every single day to figure out, there's a lot of different loans, right? We've got conventional loans, we've got government loans, and to learn it all is a lot. It's just a lot of bandwidth. And I didn't find that one person that could train me on that early on. And so I just was kind of a pit bull. And at one point, I started with subprime because guess what? That's what I knew. And so I became the subprime queen. I used to call myself the queen of green. Okay.
Dirty.
Then I moved. I just decided I really wanted to do FHA, and I don't know why. I wanted to help first-time home buyers, and I was really passionate about that. And I linked up with a real estate office, and I worked inside there. That's where you're going to cut your teeth the best way, is serving about 30 realtors at one time, asking you questions all the time. It's the best way to learn. And I ended up just learning, and it was a grind. And I mean, I worked very, very long hours. I was a young woman, and I didn't have any kids, and I could. And so, I just fell in love with the whole experience of it. To this day, I'm 28 years in, I absolutely love mortgage. And it's because I learned something new. I learned something this morning about a solar lease right before we got on this call. I was like, what? And I had to research it and look it up. But I think that's why it keeps my palate always thirsty, is because there's so much to learn and so much to know. And I just am humble enough to know I don't know everything, and nor do I need to, but hopefully I have the right people to call that can help me get to the right answer, right? That's my goal. Like,
also realizing that you don't know everything, even after all these years and all your experience, is also what keeps you curious, seeking knowledge, where most people just rest on their laurels, but you're actually reading things and very Habib and going to
oh my gosh, yeah,
online.
Voracious student. I'm a voracious student, and it's because I'm interested. Like, that's I think how that's why I feel so blessed to have found this industry so young, because I know there's a lot of folks that go, oh, let me try this, let me try it. Like, I know I would never be a good healthcare worker. Don't get sick on my watch.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you're fine, let's go, right? I get wince when my daughter comes in when she fell off a horse the other day, got a big old thing. I'm like, oh, honey, can you help her? It's just, that's not my wheelhouse. But man, if you got some financial anything, I'm your girl. I can. It's just I think it's what you're built. You got to figure out what you're built for. So I went retail. I was I'll just say this, I was so thirsty and driven that I got successful, right? I started doing a lot of business, and Pulte Mortgage came after me at one point, and they said, listen, we'd love for you to open an office for us. We have this group called the Masters Network, and they started out, you had to hit a dollar amount, you had to hit a volume amount to qualify. And I thought, I was literally working from 7 a.m. to about 11 p.m. every night.
Wow. Yeah.
I think I was closing probably 35 loans a month at that point. And it was a grind, but it was fun, and I was young, and
What year was this now?
Oh no, God, I knew you were going to do this.
Like the craziness of 2000.
This is probably 2003, maybe. I'm thinking 2002. Yeah, I just grinded, and just really got quickly successful because I was hungry, and I'm a natural salesperson. Yeah. And I ended up connecting with a realtor who literally would bring me, and I'm not kidding you, this is how you grind it out in the beginning, probably 50 stickies a day from all of his listing signs that were on these little tiny sticky notes, and I had to call all those buyers. And that's what I do. I'd pound the phones, and I would call them to see if they were pre-approved, right? So I was just pretty much, there was no shame in my game. I was going to earn what it took to be successful, you know? And I ended up opening an office with Pulte. They gave me a kind of a blank check. And I'll be honest, I totally fucked it up. I'm not going to lie. Like, I set it up because I had a bunch of friends that were loan officers. I was like, yeah, I'll take all the liability. Come on in, and you can, it'll be super fun, right? But I didn't have my business cap on, but God bless me. I'm glad I did it. And it was the best ride. It just wasn't financially the way I should have structured it. But then I knew what not to do.
And in those days, there was so much money being thrown around. This
was right before the vanillas. This was before we knew what a Nina was, a CISA was, no income, no asset.
Yeah.
Right before then,
So option arm, huh?
Yeah, that was before the option arm. Yeah. Great story about that. So that's how that started. And then that division they sold us to Shea Homes. Okay. That's what happened. And I will tell you that the experience went from amazing to a little to more than rocky. Just was a completely different operations team. They did things completely different. They're a great company. I have nothing but wonderful things to say about them. It was just it was such a jolt to my system and the way our office was running. I thought, I think I could do this on my own. And that's how that started. I think I could do this on my own. And I reached out and partnered with a broker friend of mine. And that's when brokering kind of really was birthed and kind of started in my heart of hearts. And we opened a company called Gateway Capital. And we grew a brokerage, and we grew it very quickly and very rapidly and very big, and had hard decisions. And I'm going to say this, you brought up the option arm, and Kevin, who's my partner, Kevin Hayes, he had bought into our company. And it's so funny, it's our first argument in our relationship was the option arm, because everybody wanted to sell the option arm. And Kevin Hayes, he goes down in history for this, saying it's the worst product that's ever been built for the regular consumer. Yeah. That product is built for an investor or a doctor, and we should not sell it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, are you kidding me? Everybody's selling the product.
But there's, for that 3-year prepay, we could get paid, and then a point or two on the front, it was.
Yeah. Oh, well, every rep and their brother was in selling all these loan officers, right? But we had to make that tough decision. Yeah. Should we offer that product? And he was dead set against it. And how right was he?
Well, the caveat is, of course, it wasn't very popular, but World Savings and Downey did the option arm a tick more responsibly, right? With that start rate that wasn't at 1% or something. So
no, it morphed from there, right? And Countrywide brought it out, and Countrywide was selling the heck out of it, and came into the broker world with very aggressive pay options. And if you were shining shoes at Macy's, weirdly enough, you were also a loan officer. It was crazy. You could have a fog a mirror and be a loan officer. So thank God we've tightened that up.
Yeah. A lot of changes since then, huh? I mean, the amount of regulation and the amount of certification and licensing. I mean, it's healthy, don't you think?
Absolutely. In fact, I think we should put a couple more hurdles in there. I'm being real. Like, it's interesting, and I will get off my soapbox after this, but if there's a loan officer that does something wrong at an organization, let's say that, I don't know, squeezes a loan through by some bad choices, we are trained that we cannot turn them in. Because if you turn them in, you're immediately audited and fined for the audit. So interesting. So what happens is you dump a bad loan officer from a company, and then they get hired again, and then they get dumped again, and then they get hired again. But there's no way to stop that madness, right? Because you're penalizing yourself for 3 months as a big, huge organization by reporting them. So that needs to shift. So that we could improve on that. Maybe I'm a crusader on that piece, but anywho,
these days there's not a ton of wiggle room for someone to go rogue. I mean, everything, how much how much you're paid. I mean, everything's transparent, right, and pretty regulated. Or
you just opened up a can. That was a can.
There's some dark corners.
That's a can. So I'm going to speak for the mortgage brokers. We're regulated. Yahoo! Yeah. So anybody working with a mortgage broker, you can see exactly what our yield is as a company, and as in retail mortgage banking, that's an absolutely no. It's not. Absolutely not. So same with an FDIC insured bank. So they can give you a rate, and they're packing that margin. And that's another podcast. So the consumer does not see it, but they can't figure out why, if they go to a mortgage broker today, they're at 2.87, right? Or I think I just did one at 2.802. And then they go over here to a retail banker and they're at 3.25. And they're like, why? I don't understand why that is. Well, that's because they're at 400 basis points and we're at 200 basis points. There's just a different margin. Consumer doesn't get that. That's a whole nother.
Absolutely the wrong place to go for a mortgage. I mean, if you do that, you're walking out with a bad deal pretty much.
Well, if you've got patience and you want to wait 123 days right now to do your mortgage, a bank's the place to go. People are loyal to their banks, so Norm. They really are. It's interesting.
Oh yeah. Wells Fargo, how are they not shut down right now? I don't want to get you in trouble, on going down this road, but Jesus, they're unscrupulous, and they're just so big that they could just keep paying fines and moving on,
That's real. And the government's backing it. Woo, woo, right? Yeah. So that's a whole, they turned all their mortgage loan officers into people who provide PPP loans, by the way. So they're not doing mortgage loans right now. They're doing PPP loans. So that's a whole nother conversation, right? So so I would never go to a bank to get a loan. Here's that. And if you'd like to know what people are earning, start with a broker and then start shopping, because the broker actually discloses what that margin is. They disclose it. So long story short, went into brokering, left brokering, and when the meltdown hit, right? Meltdown crashed me. I learned so much about integrity and who I was, and it was it was just a beautiful lesson. I'd go through it all over again. I lost every single penny I had made and earned and saved, and I still wasn't, flashy with all that, spending all the money like folks did. I mean, I lived a good life, but I also had 12 employees, and I took care of the employees, and we did what was right, and I transitioned into a bank after that. Woohoo! But I did a small community bank, which was Five Star Bank locally. I ran their mortgage division. Great company, by the way. Anybody in business or business owner, please bank local. A lot of people do that PPP process, got hosed by their banks, but the small community bank, I'll tell you, we bank with Five Star Bank. They called me day 2. Anything you guys need? You need anything? Is there anything we can help you with? That's service, okay? That's why people are waiting 3 months to get a call back from Chase, Wells Fargo.
I filled out an application. I still haven't heard anything back.
There you go.
Yeah.
So bank is small because that's where you get a relationship. Yep. And I ran their division for a number of years. Best experience of my career because I reported to the bank president, who made me so nervous, but he taught me so much. It was so great. And then from there, I went into jumbo and luxury. And then I ran a number of states for a mortgage banker. So that was a 10-year period. Led a bunch of salespeople, grew a huge region, had a great time, built an operations center, and now I'm free.
You're free.
So last September,
with all of that experience and all of that knowledge and all of that time in the industry, then you really found your true calling with Empire Home Loans.
Yes. So I sat down with these two wonderful human beings, which is Anthony Lombardo and Leo Witten, and we both served on the board of CAMP for a number of years together, California Association of Mortgage Professionals, because that's our way of giving back and being a voice in the industry that feeds our soul and our pockets, right? Like, be a voice in what you do. And we just actually had lunch one day, and we kind of did one of these things like, and I think I'd known Leo 16 years. I knew Anthony about 8 years, and it was great. It was just a great kind of connection on should we be doing something here? Should we be doing something? And all three of us, for those of people who know us, we can't be any different. We are literally the trifecta because, as you can tell, I'm a little crazy and I'm the people gal. And Anthony's a little bit, he does compliance and legal. He does all these wonderful things that I would never want to do. And Leo has like this rich, amazing background in wholesale, right? And so he was a wholesale regional leader, great public speaker. He's just got so many great assets, but had been in wholesale for 20 plus years, right? So we opened a brokerage, and that's how Empire Home Loans birthed. And we got the name from the #1 mortgage broker in the state of California who retired, who's a buddy of Leo's. Okay. And Leo graciously went to him and said, "Can we buy your name? We love the name." And he said, "I'm going to give it to you for all the years of service. Cool. It is yours." And it had one of the best brand names up in like the Nevada County area, Auburn. Didn't mean anything to me, but it made him happy. So I was like, whoo, now it means everything to me.
Yeah, it's a wonderful name. And like you said, it's such a great organization. All three of you are like pillars. And like you said, you're so different. You do such different things, but you have the same vision and you complement each other very well, that it couldn't really exist without one of you. So you guys really have something special.
Really, and you know what we're trying to grow here, Norm, is a hybrid model. I mean, I'm just going to touch on that quickly. There's lots of great mortgage brokers in Sacramento and abroad, like nationwide even. What we've decided, because my background over the last 10 years was more in the bank world, I really wanted to help retail loan officers transition into being entrepreneurs and do that with kind of some bumper bowling, I don't know how to call that, but some cradling, just a little cradling. So because I remembered what I didn't like when I had my mortgage brokerage and I was alone. I felt alone. I didn't have tools like in an enterprise model. And what the retail banking world offers are tons of tools. You know, you're going to pay hefty in what you're selling and rate and what you're earning, right? You're going to earn less, but we ended up creating something very similar. So you get paid just like you would in the retail banking world. So you're not going out and getting your real estate license to do loans. So there's that here in California. And we've kind of set it up to where you can be an entrepreneur and write off your write-offs, but also we want you to pay your taxes. So we're going to pay you W-2. It's crazy. So, and then, we give you enterprise models like CRMs and tools and things that you can either choose to do or choose not to do. So, and we're connected. I think we have a beautiful connection in our synergy. So we do fun things like, of course, we're doing virtual happy hours. Today is one of them, and trainings. And we've built out a bunch of video trainings. And we have something called the flight deck crew that stewards people in through the process from retail banking to brokering so that they learn how to run it as a business. They learn how to run it, right? So we're not just throwing like, come on in, get your license on, and good luck. So
you guys aren't, of course, you guys want to make money. You're professionals. You've been in the business a long time, but your motivation is not personal profits right now. And you
it's not.
Put it out there, but I'll just say it. You guys invest so much back into the business, and you really want your loan officers to really grow, like you said, as a business. The worst thing is when someone, real estate or loans, it's sad almost when they've been making, 100, 200, 300 every year for 20 years, and then they have nothing. And they can't retire, they don't have savings, they don't have assets, they don't have investments. So you guys really show people how to treat it like a business and build.
And one of the reasons we wanted to set up an employee model, and I mean that in that we wanted to be able to offer 401k. We want to be able to offer healthcare. We want profit sharing. We want you guys to actually, not you guys, but I want you, Norm, but we want us all to thrive. And yes, people over profit's a big deal for me. I want the right human beings with character and people that are going to, represent our brand the way that we want our brand represented. And it's not about the more people, the bigger we get, the more money we make. We make a very small overhead, and we have little overhead. So that's good. We haven't taken a dime as personal income because we're reinvesting it into the business because we want to grow something really beautiful. We want to grow a legacy here. I love it. As you know, I'm in love with Empire Home Loans, and it's my baby. It's my little baby.
It's so interesting, that hybrid model. It's basically you guys saw everything right and wrong from 3 different perspectives,
right,
over decades, and said, all right, how can we build something that has the best of everything and
the best of both worlds? Yeah, and it's not for everybody, right?
Yeah,
but it really is a great platform if people want to have the control of shopping 40 different lenders and what their turn times are and what their products are. And to be honest, right now, it's a big deal. I literally got a call earlier with a customer who's been in line for, 130 days waiting to close her refi. And I said, I can close you in 2 weeks, but this is that investor's rate. Are you good with it? Oh, it's perfect. Great. So there's some control fun. You lose a little control, you gain a little control. So there's the best of both worlds, in my opinion, which is, I love Empire Home Loans. I'm so thrilled to be part of it and live it. And it's a kind of a new way of my expression. I'm kind of still figuring out who I get to be in this role because I've been so corporate and executive for 10 years.
That's so funny. I can't even.
Now I'm like, woo!
Yeah, now it's like you're free, you're having fun, you're working hard, playing hard, you're giving back so much. I know all 3 of you guys are sacrificing so much, but you could tell that it's really your joy and your passion, and that energy is what Empire is about. Doing the right thing, but also doing it with the right energy, and the
right people. Right people. We're so fortunate, I have to tell you. I mean, we really launched in September, and we're up to 30 loan officers, and they are great quality human beings.
Yeah.
We're already licensed in Washington, Idaho. We're bringing on Nevada and Arizona right now. And we have some teams coming on there, and I'm just excited to see. I hope we do this again next year.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where we'll be.
The sky's the limit, definitely. But I have one humble suggestion for Empire Home Loans, if that's okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
I think you guys should walk around with like the crowns and the scepter and the chalice, the big emperor's chalice. I think you guys should have those hidden away in a drawer somewhere, for maybe during happy hours.
We could have some fun with that, actually. That's super fun. I come up with all these little images, like they're probably a little off color, but all about building your empire. The great news is we're in control of building, and I mean this as a loan officer here. We get to build whatever empire we want. We get to, and I'm here to help that, and so are my two partners. So, sky's the limit. I found my forever home. I feel like it's a great, beautiful time to be in this business, and I feel fortunate to do it every single day.
And of course, not only are you guys bringing in great people and building something with the right loan officers, but you're making sure that the client, the homeowner, the consumer is the ultimate beneficiary.
That's the number one. That's number one. That's why you hire great human beings, by the way, because you want your word to be everything. And for us, it's you do the right thing no matter what all the time. And we have our values posted on our website for that reason. It's a big deal. Like, I care about values. That's the first thing we met on as partners. We talked about what are our values, where are our priorities in life. And all three of us, number one, we've got a spiritual side to us. Number two, our family, right? That's a big deal. Like, family is huge. Like, if money comes before your family, that's a tough gig.
Yeah. Something wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're, it's good. We've got values. So that's a good place to start.
You do. And you guys talk about culture and principles and value, and not just lip service, but you guys really live them. So I know people appreciate that when they work with you. If a loan officer wants to get in touch with you and talk, if a consumer says, hey, I want to rate shop or see about buying a house or something, how could anyone get in touch with you guys?
So thank you for those two questions. Number one, loan officers, I'm your gal. My name is Julie Yarbrough. 916-508-LOAN is my phone number. And I would love to chat with you, or you can look me up online, Julie Yarbrough. Here's the second part. Empire Home Loans does not collect buyers or borrowers, but we have a team, and we have a team page on our website, and it's empirehomeloans.com. And we also have ratings on Google. Check us out, see what people say about their loan officers. We only hire experienced loan officers, and again, we do actually we do care about who we're hiring, and so we have vetted them. And so please find somebody. So although Leo and I do loans, we don't take walk-in customers, because we're leaders and we believe in eating last, and we want our folks to take care of loans, right? And that's what we do. So we do loans, but don't call me to do a loan. I would love you to call one of our people. We've got amazing loan officers, and find one that's hopefully local to you.
Perfect. You guys have a great team, so someone could find one of those loan
100%.
officers. But if someone is interested in what you're doing different and coming aboard, they could contact you, huh?
Absolutely. And then I'd love to revisit soon, because we're adding chapters for financial planners, CPAs, insurance folks, realtors to be able to do loans as well. Coming soon to a theater near you.
That's going to be interesting. We're going to have an emergency breaking news podcast when that's rolled out, huh? I'm serious.
Norm, you're helping me with that, so it's rolling.
Well, you guys are doing something right. So I really appreciate you, Julie, and thank you so much
Norm.
for taking the time, huh?
Thank you so much. We adore you. Honestly, you're one of the best. We're so grateful to have you as part of our team, by the way. So thank you.
You got it. Well, thanks. Have fun at the happy hour.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
And cursing is encouraged and allowed, of course.
Oh, it's encouraged. Well, God damn it.
All right.